Well, thank you very much. I'm sure there are some things that you could tell that you didn't, and I appreciate that. I was just with Paul up in Carson City earlier this week, and it was kind of bittersweet. It's always nice to go back after all the time I spent there, but it was really something this time to look out into that chamber and see a majority of women looking back. That was pretty incredible. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you. I'm home this week. I go back Monday, but I always enjoy coming to Eggs and Issues. I've been lobbying for a long time to make it Cocktails and Issues, but y'all seem to like these early morning meetings. Anyway, thank you, Mary Beth. I appreciate it. That waffles and chicken did smell pretty good as I came in. The Golden Nugget always does a very nice job of hosting us, so I thank them for letting me come and join you again. It's a kind of fun time for me right now, a good time. My dear friend, Steve Sisolak, is the new governor. My longtime local director and political confidant, Michael Naft, is on the county commission. Hillary Gray is running for city council. She was part of Team Titus. I'm starting to feel a little like Garth Brooks with friends in low places. I don't know. But it is nice, and it is an exciting time, I believe, to be in Nevada. I've always been an optimist, and right now it's really true. A lot of things are happening in our state, and especially here in southern Nevada. If you just look at the statistics, just a kind of an overview shows what all is going on. And I thought I'd just highlight a few of those things before we talk about some of the issues I know you care about. And often it's better when we just get into the questions too. But we'll get to that Plutonium and Yucca Mountain and I-11, and also the Clark County Lands Bill, which affects many of your businesses, here in just a few minutes. But like I said, it is an exciting time to work here, to live here, to play here. You've got unemployment rate that's under 5%. You've got U.S. News and World Report giving UNLV its highest spot ever for the law school. That's quite commendable, and some of the other programs also rose in the rankings. You have McCarran Airport setting a record for the most passengers who have traveled through. You got Elon Musk talking about a tunnel under the at Convention Center. You got the Raiders Stadium going up, and it's all in District 1. I mean, how exciting is that? Yeah. We say if it's happening in District 1, and I think that really shows it is. It's something to really be involved in, and I enjoy every minute of it, and I'm honored to do it. If you just look at travel and tourism, you heard that I'm the Democratic chair of the Travel and Tourism Caucus in Washington, and it's so important that we emphasize the economic impact of travel and tourism, and so that's what the caucus has been working on to do. And we say you don't have to have the fabulous Las Vegas Strip to care about tourism. Every place has something that people want to go and see, whether it's of natural beauty or a birthplace of Elvis Presley or the world's biggest ball of string, whatever it might be. It's something to go and visit. So I'm pleased to be part of that caucus. Here in Las Vegas, just last year, 49.2 million passengers came through McCarran. That's up from about 40 million. And then we look at the Las Vegas Convention Center's expansion. That's expected to support 14,000 construction jobs, 7,800 full-time permanent jobs, and it's going to add 600,000 people to the convention business. So that's going to be a real boom to the economy. Meantime, the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council has ranked Nevada #1 business-friendly state, and that's due largely to the tax structure: no personal income tax, no corporate income tax. We are becoming a nice alternative to Silicon Valley because of that. You've got Google, you've got all these new startups that are happening downtown. It's pretty exciting thanks to some of the tax credits that were put in place by GoEd. We've hosted its largest ever consumer economics show. We're welcoming business travelers. We now have nonstop international air flights to China, coming to Japan. That's our growth market internationally. And at the same time, though, we are attracting top-level chefs and also artists. So this is becoming a destination place. And as we bring those here, it also enhances our quality of life for those of us who live here. And so we are really kind of growing up as a city, and it's fun to be a part of that. If you look just at gaming, our Strip employees have over companies have over 98,000 employees, payroll of $5.4 billion, and that's not in gaming. Most of that is in food service, and only 23% of those work directly in gaming. Most of the rest are in ancillary industries and some of the many businesses that you all represent. Also, we've got a record-setting sports betting revenue last year. That generated more than $300 million in winning, up 21% from the previous year. And so what's been happening is that Las Vegas is kind of transitioning into a professional sports town, which is another new element. You know, we continue to reinvent ourselves often, and sports is now a new part of that. The Golden Knights had a great season. Everybody's a Golden Knights fan. I didn't know anything about hockey, and I went to one game, and I thought it was fabulous. You know, the lights are going off, the fireworks, the skimpy outfitted girls are scraping the ice. I mean, God, this was great. I couldn't see the puck, and I couldn't follow the game, but it was a lot of fun. So that's one new element. Then we've got the PASPA decision by the Supreme Court about sports betting, so we're watching that in Washington. But if you look not only at the Golden Knights and the Raiders and the women's team, the Aces, the new baseball stadium, the soccer league, we are really becoming legitimate. And now that gaming and sports can exist side by side, next thing you know, we'll be having NCAA playoffs here in town. So, in the meantime, though, we've got to be careful that the federal government doesn't overreach and try to get too involved in regulating sports betting. We know how to do it in Nevada. Let us do it and set an example for other people. Another big area that's interesting in new development is housing here in southern Nevada. I don't have to tell you how hardly hit we were just a few years ago. You know, the district before the lines were redrawn that I represented had 7 of the top 10 zip codes in the country for housing foreclosures, all in that one district. So we have really turned around because we've got a fast-growing population, and people are building again. We see that, and that's encouraging. The downside of it, though, is for every 100 homes needed, only 14 units are available. So there's still a great need for housing out there, and that's especially true when it comes to affordable housing. We're one of the worst in the country in terms of a shortage of affordable housing. This inventory is slowly increasing, and Zillow Group ranked us as the second best market in the country for first-time home buyers, so the signs are optimistic. I do hope, though, as we put together that land use plan for Clark County, we look at some incentives and some set-asides to encourage people to build affordable housing. Meantime, I will continue to support tax policies that incentivize that development, and also the low-income housing tax credit is also important to keep in place. In terms of other programs that I'm sponsoring that relate to this community, the Community Development Block Grant. So much of that money comes from the federal government and then is redistributed locally, and it provides critical funding for a lot of social programs here in Clark County, from Boys and Girls Club to housing projects. But we've got to be sure that that continues to be funded. Unfortunately, the Trump budget always tries to zero that out, so it's a battle. And that's what's happening in Washington right now. It's appropriation season. So a lot of the different agencies, different nonprofits, different medical groups are coming with requests for appropriations, put us in the budget, get us some federal dollars. Now, unfortunately, we don't have earmarks anymore. I think earmarks are a good thing as long as they are transparent and they go to public entities, not private friends for a bridge to nowhere. But until we can get them back, we have to be creative and support grants and write letters and try to be helpful in that way. So if you are interested in any of that, please don't hesitate to let us know. On the horizon right now, some of the things that are really important for Nevada, the census. We've got to be sure that everybody is counted in the census because that has such an impact on the dollars that we get back here federally, also in the number of people we have in Congress and our position in selecting the president. So we want to be sure that there's support for the census. Brand USA is on the chopping block. This costs absolutely no taxpayer dollars, but it advertises Nevada and other parts of the country internationally, and so if that's our growth market, we need to be sure that that gets reestablished, and it's set to go out of existence in 2020. So help me ring that bell to inform people of that. Immigration reform is always a very difficult issue, but it's critical in this community. If you look at my district, it's the most ethnically diverse district in the state, from the airport to Cashman, from Durango to Nellis. You've got a very large Hispanic population on the east side, but the fastest growing population is the Asian Pacific Island population on the west side. Immigration is a huge issue and it impacts all of your businesses. Right now the bill that's on the table is one that includes Dreamers and TPS, temporary protective status folks, to try to give them some permanent status and a pathway to citizenship. That's the least we can do to try to bring some people out of the shadows and move this policy area forward. So thank you. Marijuana is another big business here in Nevada that the federal government can be involved in. There are a number of bills. I'm like the queen of cannabis back there, so you know. And I'm in the caucus, but I think probably the most likely one that has the best chance of passing is the banking bill. And if we can get that passed, that should free up the state from being in the money laundering business. So we're working on that. Of course, we want to talk a little bit about Yucca Mountain and the plutonium shipments. The caucus is united, pretty united. This has been something that people on both sides of the aisle have agreed on about opposition to Yucca Mountain. The more recent development has been the shipment of plutonium. Again, we're pretty united against trying to stop that. That's a bigger challenge. I'll be glad to go into that if you want to ask me any questions about it. And I just mentioned earlier the Clark County Lands Bill. That's going to be really a big issue because it frees up certain areas for development. We want to see development, but I don't think we want to get back into the position of just build it and they will come, because we want sustainable growth and be sure that we keep that in mind as we look at expanding what is available. So please think of me as a partner. I always enjoy working with you. We love hosting your night out in Washington. It's the event of the season. Everybody likes to come and see what Las Vegas is all about. So I encourage you to be part of that too. And my office is just down the street from your office at City Hall, so please stop in anytime you get a chance. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dina.